Just another beautiful day working from home despite a global panduse outside. Time to print some important documents. Wait a minute, what's this? No! What's going on? Welcome to the Humble Bag, where the bag is humble, but not necessarily by choice. Anyway, my printer broke. My printer of, I want to say, about 10 years. I've had this printer since at least 2011, maybe even 2010. Damn, so this is a printer of over 10 years. This is at least a 10-year-old printer. This Epson Stylus NX515, and it's served me decently up until this point. This error, this cannot recognize ink cartridges error, this is not the first time it's popped up, but it is the first time it's popped up to this extent where I put a brand new ink cartridge in this thing, and then this thing showed up, and so I put the old one back in, and this one still showed up. I'm just kind of tired of buying ink cartridges for this problem to happen. Sometimes it works itself out if I just keep replacing our ink cartridges. There's probably something going on inside with the sensors, the print heads, whatever. It just needs probably like an entire overhaul. You see, I duct tape this thing together. It's barely holding together. But you know, it's worked for over a decade. I spent probably like $100 on this brand new, maybe like 120, 130, something like that. I don't know the exact amount, but you know, it's worked pretty well up until this point. You know, the scanner part I probably only used like 2 times. Who uses a scanner, right? I mean, I don't mean to offend you if for some odd reason that you are offended by that, but yeah, it's broke and I need a new one, and I'm tired of this printer doing inkjet printer things with the ink cartridges. There's got to be a better option out there. So just as my old printer broke, a quick Google search showed me that the latest and greatest of the EcoTank series have dropped. Did I say latest and greatest? Maybe I should say latest and the cheapest of the EcoTank lineup has dropped to ET-2800, and I should probably say cheapest with quotation marks because this thing was $200, and you know, I do feel some type of way about buying a printer for $200 in 2021 when my printer from over 10 years ago was just cost a little over $100, right? But the whole tag of kids expensive ink cartridges goodbye, really, they sold me on that because I've been dealing with expensive ink cartridges for over a decade now. So I got this thing over at Office Depot. Initially I was trying to get it from Best Buy, but I guess they sold out. I guess there's a printer shortage or something like that out there. Probably every kind of shortage that deals with computer chips and electronics right now with the whole global panoramic outside. But you know, I was able to get my hands on this at Office Depot. $200. It hurt. I really needed to print stuff. And it was really appealing to me, this idea of just refilling ink directly into the printer rather than having to refill the ink cartridges. It makes me think that because you're directly filling ink into the printer, that there's a lot of aftermarket options out there. And I did do a quick Google search, and lo and behold, there are a lot of aftermarket options out there. And based on the reviews, it looks like, you know, it should work without a problem, unlike with the ink cartridges where, you know, there's all these issues with the chips not reading and what have you with the aftermarket options. But you know, I've been having that issue even with the non-aftermarket ink cartridges anyway. So kiss expensive cartridges goodbye. I'm hoping to also kiss those error codes goodbye as well. And they do advertise that the bottles last a lot longer than the cartridges. So let's see and let's hope if that's true. Now you may be thinking, oh, are you the humble bag? If your bag is so humble, why don't you just get a laser printer? Laser printers are cheaper. You gonna save money with the toner? What? I get it. I know, I heard about that stuff. But just because my bag is humble don't mean I want my bag to be ugly. You know what I'm saying? The inkjet printers just print things that look nicer. So if I want to print some graphics or what stuff like that, like, well, actually, hold up for a second. All right, anyway, I was saying, and especially with colors, I know from experience that inkjet printers, even the cheapest inkjet printers, can print graphics decently, and I don't think that's the same thing with the laser printers. You know, you could argue different. Maybe there are higher end laser printers out there that could print graphics nicely, but I think those things are really just designed for text. So you know what it is. My bag is humble, but it's still pretty. So here's what the ink bottles that come with the printer look like. Here's a high capacity ink cartridge from my old printer for comparison. And also here's a regular capacity ink cartridge for comparison. As you can see, it looks like in both cases, the bottles look to have a lot more ink than both cartridges by a pretty good margin. But not gonna lie, the setup process was pretty long. Like, I guess you only need to do it once, so it's not that big of a deal, but it was definitely a lot longer than I had anticipated. It's not the same as the old days where you just plug something in, pop the cartridges in, set up the Wi-Fi and go, right? I had to download an app, wait for firmware updates or whatever it is. It took a long time. But here go the part I was most looking forward to. Let's fill this thing up with some ink. ASMR vibes. That was strangely satisfying. So from here, you just kind of repeat the steps. The bottle has a special tip on top of it so that you really can't mess up. There's no drip, there's no mess. It would have been pretty cool if this little this thing that shows you how much ink is left was transparent. I think that would have been pretty cool, or at least more transparent so you could see the colors. So if you wanted to do some weird things like mix colors or something like that, which I'm not sure why you would do that because the inkjet printers pretty much do that for you anyway, but it would have just been kind of cool, you know? And this is pretty much how much ink is left. So it doesn't use the whole bottle, so there's still some ink left over, which I thought was pretty cool. So there are a bunch of on-app and on-screen instructions that you have to follow to continue the initiation process. It does take a little while. It's really not kidding when it says it takes about 11 minutes. I think I didn't time myself, but it did feel that long, if not even possibly longer. So, you know, after many moons of letting it initialize, doing the print head tests, right? You print the pieces of paper where they, ask you to pretty much match up the lines in the boxes or the squares or whatever it is. And yeah, this whole thing does take a little bit. So once again, it's not something that you can just plug in and go your first go. The good thing is you only really need to do this once or maybe every so often if your print heads get misaligned. But yeah, it is a little tedious. It's a little annoying if you just need to get something printed. But, you know, set aside a little bit of time for this setup. That's what I'm trying to tell you. But once it's done, it's all set up. It's all good to go. One interesting quirk that I did notice was a lot of ink is gone. After the whole initialization, a lot of ink seems to have been used up. So I guess I'll take back what I previously said. You don't really get any extra ink because after the whole setup process, as you can see, a fair amount of ink has been used, especially the black ink. So it probably, the initialization probably starts filling up the print heads with ink or something like that. I don't know. But in any case, no freebies over here. Anyway, whatever. I got the printer all set up. So this is the moment I've been waiting for. Let's finally print those important documents that I've been talking about. Let's get it. Let's go. Let's see what a 10-year upgrade looks like. And right away, I'm kind of disappointed. This is slow. Like immediately it's showing why this is considered an entry-level printer. This is way slower than my $100-something printer from 10 years ago. This is taking its sweet ass time to print. Like, it's so noticeably slower. But whatever, I guess, you know, as long as you're not printing a lot of documents, right? I usually have to print like maybe like 10 pages or so of documents for work at a time. As you can see, they don't even fill up the entire page. It's just a bunch of, you know, timelines and, you know, itinerary kind of things. But it's slow. It looks good, you know, it looks fine. It doesn't seem like it's using a whole bunch of ink. I mean, as far as I can tell, time will tell. I'll try to keep you posted on that. But this is the main thing right now. The first thing I notice is that it's slow. So let's give it a shot printing some graphics on some cardstock, some 8x10 cardstock. So I did have to go into my computer to change the settings, update the drivers so that it could take a different size paper, different size cardstock. But yeah, this is it. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what this inkjet printer can do. Even though it's slow, as you can see, this is real time right here. This is an unaltered video. You could barely even see the paper moving. You know, this is it. But let's see what it can do for a full size 8x10 image on cardstock. But for the sake of the video, let's start speeding this up. Well, that took forever. Can I kick my final thoughts though? I mean, it's a printer. Build quality wise, I would say it's very comparable, if not more or less the same build quality as my old printer from over a decade ago. It's very plasticky. Obviously my old printer shows a bunch of signs of age, like there's squeaks and stuff like that. There was duct tape, but this is a new printer, so everything is nice. It feels nice to the touch, but it also is very plasticky. Specs wise, it's pretty much the same resolution as my old Epson Stylus NX515, according to the labels anyway, but it is much slower. So who should buy the Epson EcoTank 2800? Well, I think obviously people with a humble bag. It's not the cheapest printer out there, but I think the savings in not having to constantly buy ink cartridges do make up for that. But on this level, it is a basic no frills printer. It advertises on the box 4,500 pages out of the black ink bottle, and about 7,500 for the colored bottles, or the bottles with the color, the cyan, the magenta, and the yellow. Colored is it's a weird word, right? But if you do need faster printing, if you do need things like double-sided printing, if you do need things like a larger paper tray, I would suggest looking into the higher end models out there. I'll try to put a link in the description for all the different models that's available for the EcoTank series. Overall though, I like it. I think this printer is cool. It's cute. It's got ink bottles instead of ink cartridges, and they're not that expensive to replace, and there's cheaper aftermarket ink bottles out there. So, and it's still an inkjet printer, so I'm not losing out on the quality. But is this an upgrade? I mean, I guess in many ways it feels like a downgrade, but it looks like an upgrade, if you know what I'm saying. But it does seem like, at least in the very least, I won't have to deal with those error codes anymore. Fingers crossed anyway. And ink seems like it will be much cheaper, so I think this was a go. This is a good addition to the Humble bag. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if this printer is something that you're interested in, that you got it. If you find a workaround to make this thing go a little bit faster, that'd be pretty cool. Or if there are better options out there, let me know in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching. If you found this video at all useful, feel free to, you know what to do. Until next time, y'all. Peace.